We moved into this house a little over a month ago. It was too good of an opportunity to pass up. A newly renovated, spacious house with a perfect office for my home office. I'm a graphic designer and spend hours locked in my computer, so having my own space was essential. My wife, Anna, loved the backyard and the open kitchen. Everything seemed to fit perfectly. At first, we were excited about the move, organizing furniture, bringing in boxes, dreaming about the next few years there. But it didn't take long for the first strange things to happen. And the worst part, it was so subtle, so small, that at first I could only laugh and think it was all in my head. It all started in the office. I'd be there during the day, working, and sometimes out of nowhere, I'd feel a light touch on the back of my neck. It wasn't strong, more like a strand of hair brushing against my skin or a quick cold draft. I'd always turn around, thinking it was a bug or some breeze from the window, but there was never anything there. The weird thing was that the sensation always came from the same direction, the built-in closet in the hallway, right at the office entrance. At first, I thought it could be static electricity or something, one of those things you don't really think about. But after a few days, I started noticing that it happened no matter where my desk was. Even when I rearranged the furniture, the feeling still came from the exact same spot. I didn't want to say anything to Anna at first. I know she has a wild imagination, and unlike me, she's always been more sensitive to these things. But one night, while we were getting ready for bed, she turned to me out of nowhere and said, "Do you also feel like there's something weird in this house?" I froze for a second before asking what she meant. She hesitated, as if she was scared of sounding paranoid, but then she admitted that she didn't feel comfortable sleeping with her back to the bedroom closet. She said every night she had the feeling of being watched, like someone was standing right there in the dark, just staring at us. I laughed, trying to lighten the mood, but deep down, I felt a strange chill, because until that moment, I hadn't told her anything about what was happening in the office. That same night, something happened that made me realize this wasn't just paranoia. It was past 2 a.m. when I woke up with a dry mouth and went to the kitchen to get some water. The hallway was dark, with only a sliver of light coming from outside, and as I passed by the office, a shiver ran down my spine. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like the air in there was heavier, like someone was standing inside the room. I tried to ignore it and kept walking, but the moment I passed the hallway closet, I saw something dark move from the corner of my eye. My heart pounded, and I turned around so fast I almost tripped. But there was nothing there. The closet was closed. The hallway was empty. But still, I knew I had seen something. And the worst part, I felt like it knew I had seen it too. After that night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. The feeling of being watched got stronger, especially when I was alone. I started noticing other things too. Small details, but together, they built a horrible sense that something was out of place. Our clothes started showing tiny holes, always in the same pattern, like something small had punctured the fabric repeatedly. At first, I thought it could be moths or something wrong with the washing machine, but the holes were too symmetrical, always the same size, and it didn't make sense. Plus, it only happened with clothes stored in the closets. One day, I found one of my shirts with those weird holes, and when I showed Anna, she went pale. Some of her clothes had the same thing. The worst happened a few nights later. It was past midnight, and we were watching TV in the living room. Out of nowhere, we heard a noise coming from the bedroom, a long, dragging creak. Anna and I exchanged a look, and my stomach twisted. We always locked the bedroom door before bed. It wasn't just a habit, it was a necessity. After the first strange things, we started feeling vulnerable inside our own home. I got up slowly, my chest tightening with anxiety, and walked toward the hallway. Every step felt like a hammer pounding inside my head. When I reached the bedroom door, I saw the doorknob turning on its own, slowly twisting. My blood ran cold, before I could react, the lock clicked, and the door started opening, inch by inch, creaking into the silence of the house. I froze. My whole body screamed for me to run, but my legs felt stuck to the floor. The door kept opening, little by little, like someone on the other side was pulling it slowly, savoring the moment. The hallway light was dim, but was enough to show that the bedroom was pitch black, like a bottomless pit. No shadows, no movement. But I knew something was in there. The air felt colder, heavier, like I was being pulled into that darkness. Behind me, Anna whispered my name, her voice trembling. That snapped me back to reality. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and shoved the door open hard. The bedroom was empty, but something was wrong. The smell inside the room. I can't explain it. It was a metallic, damp scent, like something old and forgotten. I looked at Anna, who was now standing at the doorway, hugging herself. She pointed at something near the closet. On the floor, right in front of it, there was a piece of dark fabric. I walked closer, and when I touched it, I felt its rough, cold texture. It was a piece of cloth, like a scrap of really old clothing. But the strangest part was seeing that along one of the edges, there were tiny holes, lined up exactly like the ones that had appeared on our clothes. A wave of fear hit me. I picked up the cloth and threw it into a plastic bag, not knowing what else to do. I just knew I didn't want it there. That night, Anna and I decided to sleep in the living room. Neither of us could face the bedroom after that. I lay on the couch, trying to rationalize everything. Maybe there was a logical explanation. Maybe someone had lived there before and left that piece of fabric behind. Maybe the holes were just a coincidence. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. The silence in the house was absolute, but I couldn't relax. Anna fell asleep first, but I stayed there, eyes wide open, staring at the dark hallway. The bedroom door was closed now, but I had this uncomfortable feeling that if I stared too long, it would start opening again. That's when I heard it, a low sound, almost imperceptible, coming from the hallway, like a soft, repetitive scratching. My body tensed, and I held my breath. It sounded like it was coming from a closet, and then, a second later, a faint clicking noise. Something had moved inside. I wanted to get up, turn on all the lights, open that closet, and put an end to this once and for all. But I couldn't. I just couldn't. I sat there, paralyzed, listening to that weak sound continue, like nails scratching wood, until, out of nowhere, it stopped. The silence returned, but now it was worse. Because now I knew that whatever it was listening to me too. I didn't sleep. Not for a second. I kept my eyes fixed on the hallway, waiting for any movement, any sound. The wall clock read 4:20 a.m. when the first rays of sunlight started to illuminate the house. Only then did I allow myself to breathe a little deeper, as if the light brought some sense of security. When Anna woke up, I was already sitting at the kitchen table, spinning my coffee cup in my hands, trying to decide what to do. We couldn't keep living like this. I needed an explanation, something real, something I could understand. So I made a decision. I was going to open that closet, but not alone. Anna didn't want to, but in the end, she agreed. We grabbed a flashlight and a kitchen knife. Not that I thought it would do much, but it made me feel a little less vulnerable. The closet was built in, with an old wooden door that creaked every time it opened. I grabbed the handle and took a deep breath before pulling it open. The smell hit first. It was the same metallic, damp smell we had noticed the night before. The closet was practically empty, just a few old shelves and a cardboard box in the back. I crouched to take a better look, and when I ran my hand along the bottom, I felt something strange. The wood there wasn't smooth like the rest. There was a slit, a very subtle line that looked like a cut. That's when I realized The closet had a false compartment. My heart pounded. I looked at Anna, and she stared back at me, wide-eyed, as if she already knew this wouldn't lead to anything good. But I was already committed. I ran my fingers along the slit and found space where I could fit my nails. I pulled slowly, and the wood shifted with a dry crack. Behind the false panel, there was a dark hole, a tight space that seemed to extend into the wall. The smell there was unbearable, like something old and soaked in time. The flashlight beam revealed what was hidden inside, and that's when my blood ran cold. The space was small, but deep inside, folded over itself, was something that looked like a fabric mannequin, the kind used for sewing. But it was wrong. The color was grayish, almost rotten, and the material looked stiff, wrinkled, like dried-out skin. But the worst part was the holes. Tiny holes scattered across its body, aligned in strange patterns, identical to the ones that had appeared on our clothes. I immediately stepped back, my stomach turning. Anna let out a choked sob. The thing didn't move, didn't make a sound, but its presence there, folded and forgotten inside that wall, was suffocating. I slammed the panel shut with all my strength and pressed my weight against the closet door, as if I could seal it forever. Without a second thought, we grabbed our things and left the house. Within a week, we had found another place to stay and put the house up for sale. We never went back. I don't know what that thing was. A strange artifact, a remnant of something that should have been forgotten, or someone. Whatever it wasn't there by accident. The worst part is that, even today, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with the feeling of a light touch on the back of my neck.